Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to another video. Today I am down on the shore again, exploring an area that I practically grew up in. Today we are down in Port Wrinkle, going along the coast. Further along, right in the distance down there, is Rame Head. And going back along the beach, if you go further along you'll get to places like Middendreth and Loo. So yeah, just wanted to point out a couple of things behind myself first. So here, growing into the hedgerow, we have some sea beet and also some rock samphire. Those are actually edible plants. You can actually eat most of it. This stuff here isn't too bad to have with your beach cook-ups for your lobsters and with crabs if you fancy throwing a little bit in, but always make sure you wash it out first and do your homework and do your research just to make sure that it is all fine. But yeah, so for today I'm just going to go across the high tide line, seeing what's here, and then I'm going to head over to that area down there. We still have probably about another hour and a half of the ebb before we get to low tide. It's not a massively big tide today, but we should be able to get some good rock pools exposed, and then a bit later on we'll be heading over towards there and exploring some of the nooks and crannies and hopefully looking for those bigger crabs and lobsters. So yeah, I'll see you guys shortly, see what we find. Come here, you. There we go. Oh. Female shore crab there, guys. They tend to be a bit of a darker brown on top with sort of a pale green to them. But yeah, first little species of the day. Nice to see there are a few creatures scurrying about. Plenty of seaweed etc. in this area as well. I'll try and find you some better examples of all the different types and give you a bit of a show and tell for those who are interested. But yeah, we'll get this little lady back, put you under that rock and the seagulls won't get you. And again, when she feels safe to do so, she'll just scurry back in under. She might need a bit of a helping hand. Well, off you go, madam. There we go. And she's back under. Well, ladies and gents, we have plenty of shore crabs around today. Got another female here. As you can see, she is carrying a load of eggs. As you can see from the little pad here, opens completely up to allow them to carry in it, or the apron as it's called. But yeah, won't keep you out too long, missus. I'll put you back under the rock down there. Plenty of them scurrying about today. There you go. Keep you out of harm's way. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of seaweed and stuff around as well. Over here, I have to find out what type this is actually. Might be some form of bladder, but we have serrated rack over there. I'll actually try and get an example and show you guys the difference, if I can, between gutweed and sea lettuce. So this stuff down here, let me break some off. This stringy stuff that almost looks like algae, this stuff is all gutweed. But in amongst that, some of the broader, more flatter bits will actually be, we've got a bit back here, so these bits here that are much more broader and flatter, like this sea lettuce. We also have coral weed down there as well. Plenty of serrated rack and other types of bladder rack around. But yeah, we actually have here in the UK somewhere in the region of 400 different types of seaweed. Just a little fact for you. But please don't expect me to remember every single one, because I definitely will not. Under a couple more stones so we can find anything. No, nothing there for a mo. we'll move on. There we go, ladies and gents, not a few feet away. I'll give you a better example of bladderwrack. These bubbles here, basically they act like a flotation device. So when the tide's in, they'll float upwards so that they can actually get more sunlight. But yeah, that one's bladderwrack. This one here, with what looks like a serrated knife edge, is serrated wrack. Yeah, we'll have a flip over of a few more stones as well. I'm sure this will be another type of bladderwrack, but I will try and get the actual name of this one and annotate it for you. Well, let's lift over a few stones, see if we can find anything. Anything today? Oh, we've got some mussel shells. We'll empty that out. Anything else hiding away? Nope, nothing in there at the moment. We shall carry on moving down that way. Well, ladies and gents, down here we have an absolute party zone going on of strawberry anemones. They are all completely covered in sand as the tide's gone out. But yeah, you can see some have their tentacles out when they're in, and as soon as they come out of the water they retract their tentacles. But one thing's for certain, I'd hate to be a little fish or shrimp or something like that going through there. What an absolute danger zone. There's even more under there, and we have some form of eggs down there as well. I'll have to find out what type they are because I'm unsure. Might be some form of blenny, but if it was, I would have assumed there would have been a fish hiding around there to guard it. But yeah, I'll find out what type they are and I'll annotate those in the comments as well. And over here, ladies and gents, we have limpets for days. This definitely must be the place to be, as they're everywhere, but I've managed to get one off. They are pretty tricky as they hold fast, but yeah, this is the underside of a limpet, and that's what they use, their sticky pad here, just to completely stick on. Won't keep it out for long. We don't want this fella to dry up. But yeah, put you back on your rock and you'll stick there in no time. Here we've got what looks like to be the casing of some form of worm. Also these here, these tiny little black dots that you can see around, they are very, very, very juvenile mussels. We'll have a slightly bigger one there. But yeah, hopefully the GoPro picks it up alright. I'll try and get my shadow out the way and see if we can get a better view of it in the light. But yeah, just down there and down here. And again, this is a casing. It's extremely hard, of some form of worm that's probably living in there. Here on the rock, this here is an oyster. It's actually not one that's been smashed off. And before, in some of the videos you may have seen, if you find sort of, almost if you go around the edge here of what looks like bird poo on the rock, it would be where an oyster would have been. But we have a nice example of a small oyster today. Obviously something like that, far too small to keep, but even so, on a word of taking any form of filter feeders, mussels and clams and the like, I don't take anything this time of year between May and August, and that's because, I'll show you in a second actually, when we come over here we get a lot of algae that blooms here in the UK between sort of May and August. And you can see, if we get a bit closer to the water, the visibility at the moment has dropped quite a lot and it's quite murky today. So normally this is all nice and clear and you can see the bottom. I mean, it's only about a foot deep and you can barely see anything down there. And the mussels and filter feeders and other things like that of the likes will actually be filtering all this in, so they will build up quite a lot of toxin. So yeah, it can give you quite an upset stomach, so it's advised that you don't take anything like that between sort of May and August. The best sort of way to remember it is any month that doesn't have an R in it, don't take anything like that. But yeah, at any other point it should be fine to take. Well, ladies and gents, I don't know what it is lately, but I'm finding some monstrously big velvet swimming crabs, and this one has got a right attitude on him. If I can get in behind and get him out, I'll pick him up and give you a show. Come on, nice and gently. Over this way. Don't want to harm you. Can I get you out without you nipping me? That's going to be the aim of the game. Come on. Right. Let's go underneath and lift you up then. There you go. Don't you get me yet. They are pretty mean, these guys. They have one hell of an attitude. Down you go. And then get you from behind and you're all good. It's a nice solid crab, this one. Yeah. There we go. Still love the blue on these claws. And this one's male. You can tell from that apron bit in the middle there is a V shape. But yeah. Again, you can't eat these guys. The claws is pretty much where all the meat is, and that one there would be just about legal size. I think it's 65mm across the top for a keeper crab, but to be honest with you, yeah, you need 7, 8, 9, 10 of these to make any form of decent meal, that's for sure. Yeah, another nice sized velvet swimmer. I seem to be finding quite a lot of these lately. Right, ladies and gents, what I thought I'd do before I let him go and be on his merry way is I'll just pop him into the water and show you what he uses these back legs for, because they normally go 10 to the dozen when they're in there. But yeah, I'll pop him in when he feels safe and ready to do so. Go on, you. They do like to play possum a little bit as well. You can actually hold them flat. I should have shown you before I put them back in. You can actually turn them upside down and hold them flat on the palm of your hand, and they'll just play dead. Are you going to move for us, little fella? Or am I going to have to get you to move? He would do it by himself. Now normally he would go absolutely crazy. Let's see if I can get him to scurry. I think this one here is a bit more mean-tempered than some of the others. Normally when you put them in the water like that, those back legs go absolutely nuts. But we'll let him go. Continuing on our rock pool adventure down here. I can find it. Alright, there you are. We have Brittlestar. We have another one just over here as well. Yeah, these guys are quite common. They're normally all over the place, but you do have to be very careful when you're handling them, purely because of their name, Brittlestar. Their legs etc will fall off pretty easily. So I'll put you guys down there. Got another little one here. You can see how they move and like to get around with those legs. Another little one just there, and a lovely huge size strawberry anemone. Yeah. Got another one. Ooh, if I can get down, just down there as well. Moving along. And just down here, I can get him out. Right, yeah. We've got little tiny furrowed crab, little baby male, this one, teeny tiny. And we'll get you guys put back and on your way.
And always remember, whenever you're moving rocks about there, guys, put them back over. Just be nice and careful because of the wildlife underneath. But there we go.
Alright there, ladies and gents, we're about halfway, 2/3 of the way, somewhere around there. Down the beach now. Haven't really found too much in the way of any form of decent lobster holes or crab holes. Plenty of velvet swimming crabs. Plenty of shore crabs, that's for sure. Sorry for the pun there. But yeah, coming down here we found a lot more razor clam shells and a lot more clam shells. So if we do come across anything, I will... Sorry, getting distracted already. If we do come across anything, I'll show you an easy way of getting them out just with some normal table salt, as I have it with me today. But yeah, I remember coming down as a kid and there were a lot more of them and they were a lot easier to find, but unfortunately I think a lot of overfishing and the likes has wiped out most of the population, which is definitely a shame. But yeah, we'll have a quick explore around here because it is low tide now. Won't be long before it starts tiding and coming back in. We don't want to get trapped. See you in a mo. Oh, ladies and gents, we're most of the way down the beach now, and we've come across what I thought was a dead crab under the seaweed, but it's not, it's alive. And he is clinging on for dear life. Can I get you off the seaweed and give you a quick show? Come on. Let it go. They are so stubborn when they're like this, but yeah. It's like this one's been through the wars. And actually, he is a she. Yeah, only one very gimpy little arm, and the other one has gone. Put you under that rock there, madam. Stay out the way of those seagulls. You go. See if she goes off. When she feels unthreatened, hopefully she will. Right, I'll push her under. There you go, and we'll leave her to it. But yeah, most of the way down the beach now. All I've really done is follow the sort of low tide line down. I'll come up a little bit and there's still all that section there I haven't actually even explored today. Yeah, we'll head along and around. There's another section of beach over there, and then that will be pretty much us done. Here we've got a nice example, ladies and gents, of where oysters would have been, and also where an oyster still is. So yeah, these marks here, they almost look like sort of bird poo on the rock, for lack of a better description, is where an oyster would have been. Another small bit up there. Oh, and another tiny little mini oyster down there. Definitely nice to see them still around. They aren't the most common things anymore, unfortunately. Well, ladies and gents, that is it done from me. But before I go, just a quick safety note on the tide, etc. Just to make sure you do keep an eye on the times as to what high and low tide is. You can see how fast this is pulling in and out. High tide is a couple hours away, a few hours away now at least, but the tide is on the turn and it is starting to come back in pretty quickly. This whole area here about 7 or 8 minutes ago was completely dry. So yeah, just to be safe, know what the tide's doing. Again, make sure if you're by yourself, somebody knows where you are and you have to rearrange contact time. But as you can see, tide's on the way in, so that is me done for the day. I'm going to head on home and get some dinner. And from my adventure to yours, stay safe, have a good day.